Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host, Brett Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland, and today I've got Tino Dietrich with me. Tino, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to be with you. Sorry, I didn't pronounce it as wonderful as you do, like they do in Germany, but we did the American version since you live in Miami now.
Yeah, I agree. But there's a Marlene Dietrich, who's maybe known to some of your audience, is a little older former actress, and same last name. Nice.
Very nice. Well, we will dive into all sorts of stuff with you today, but you are a visionary entrepreneur. You are an Inc. 500 honoree, certified Mindvalley coach, and with a track record of building and scaling global businesses. You're the founder and CEO of SNYDER Americas, which is a golf ball that we're going to be talking about as well. And then you are also founder of the Dietrich Institute, which is a coaching and consulting powerhouse dedicated to empowering high-achieving professionals and master personal growth. You also played golf at Syracuse University. So I'm a fellow college golfer, and so maybe we can just talk about golf all day long. That'd be fun. But before we dive into that, Tino, what has helped make you the man you are today?
Well, I'd say resilience, purpose, probably my relentless pursuit of excellence. But I would say that what really made me the person I am today are the relationships in my life, the people that I came across, not only good ones, also not so good ones, but relationships really are, I would say, the foundation of who I am today. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
absolutely.
Also obviously my family, which I would call a relationship, and then my faith, my belief in God, which is also a relationship. So we could go on and on and on.
Yeah, love it. Very good. What when you think about your company, SNYDER Americas, talk to us about that, man. How do you just wake up one day and obviously you play golf, so you fell in love with the game and said, you know what, I'm going to create my own golf ball?
Wasn't that easy, but
Right.
what happened is, and I'm trying to cut it down as quickly as I can. I played golf all my life, and then what happens is that work and life happens to you, not necessarily for you, so you play less and less. And right after I was very sick with COVID, I had to lose about 90 pounds. And I was not in good shape. So I just got out of the ICU, and I thought, what could I do? And then golf came back to my mind, and I started to play golf again. And in the beginning, obviously not so good. So I lost a lot of balls, and like many people do, I bought all these lake balls, and I always cried when I lost my, $5-6 ball. So you're trying to find affordable solutions for the problem. And just by coincidence, I traveled back to Germany, and I'm a member of the German Golf Association. So I came across SNYDER. SNYDER is the official ball of the German Golf Association, the DGV, and also the official ball of the Porsche Cup and whatnot. So, and I was like, I as I said before, you're trying to find an affordable solution to your problem. So I ordered some balls, and I was so impressed by the quality. And I reached out to the company, and I said, hey, you guys are not present in the US, like, why, and this and that. So we started talking, and I got back to the US, and I thought to myself, why not bring that ball to America? Not just for me, which is very selfish, but I did it also for me because I would love to have those balls here. I said, these balls are so good and affordable. And I started to look into golf balls, and it's so amazing how little we know about golf balls. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. As you're saying that, I'm sitting here thinking I've played golf for 41 years, I think, and I know very little about the golf ball. except what it does, obviously, and never researched it. So when you did that, you obviously then came to America with that idea and took them. And now, so how many states are you guys in? You're doing everywhere all over the country, doing online sales? Like, where do you find your product?
So we just launched a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
We're online. We're a classic DTC company. We're also going into retail. So we started to hit some retail stores, and we're fresh off the press, so to say.
Nice.
Just a few weeks ago, we went to the PGA show in January, and that's really where we entered the market.
Nice. Well, we'll keep our eyes and ears out for that, and I'll get some golf balls. I'll start playing them this summer. What do you say? Talk to us about.
You have to.
I will. Work-life balance. I noticed in my research here, some of the stuff that you talk about, some of the stuff I talk about is you said work-life balance is a lie, and what high achievers should do instead. And so I agree with that. I actually call it work-life integration. So I've got another new business opening right now. My life is not in balance right now. I work during the day. My wife and I are up here at night doing stuff all night. Right? There is no balance. So it is a lie. So when you hear that, and what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I believe that beliefs and values outside of our personal life shape necessarily how we view things, right? So if you don't really know what you truly want, it's very difficult to find that balance. That's the first thing. So we grew up learning all these things, right? Like you got to work hard to make a living, blah, 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 right? This is how things have to be, and so on and so forth. And as an entrepreneur, you disrupt things, right? You don't take no for an answer, right? You push. And when it comes to life, we don't question that. We just take a lot of things for granted. This is how it was. This is how it has to be, blah, 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 blah. And then you start to create your version of a balanced life. And how can you do that when what you truly want is not necessarily what you're going after? So you're really chasing ghosts, trying to push water uphill. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But it's never really perfectly balanced, is it?
It can be. It just can, because it's especially as entrepreneurs, right, and business owners, you always pushing. So when you have a goal and you get to that goal, it's like a milestone. It's not necessarily the end of it, right? It's not the final destination. It's the journey. So it has to be all in a flow.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a process that you do that personally? So when you think about how you manage yourself, that's what I always talk about, is managing myself versus managing time. There's only 24 hours in a day. So do you have like a process for that? Are you driven by a calendar? What's that look like to how you can keep yourself, in line with what you need to be doing and growing with?
One thing I do is frequently, I would say several times a week for sure, is really just visualize what I'm going after, and questioning if the path I'm on right now is the path I should be on, I want to be on, right? And it doesn't mean that I will go through the same thing over and over again. But as I said before, it's a process. It's a holistic approach. So from health to family to business and you have to go through that. You take your time. You have to have your me time for that. I run a lot, so I really love that because it gives me an opportunity to free my mind and think about these things. And then I have a journal. So this is how I keep track of things and try and visualize that for me as well. By I always say there's nothing better than a pen hitting paper.
Absolutely. Talk to us about, you opened with resilience, right? That was one of the things that helped make you the man you are today. And then you threw out there 90 pounds, you had to lose it. You were in the ICU, I think you said, during COVID. Like, walk us through some of that journey, maybe what got you there. And then now you look like a fit man here. And so I'm anxious to see that, hear that process there.
So it's interesting. I mean, I think we all get messages. Some are more obvious, some are less obvious.
Yep.
The issue with me was that I wasn't listening to these messages. There were signs. Someone was trying to tell me something. And what happened is during COVID, I got super sick, and I was sick for weeks and weeks. And my family had COVID; they all got better, and I just didn't get better. And I gained and gained and gained. And I felt like really bad. So one day I had pain in my kidneys, my head hurt, and I went to the urgent care center. They sent me straight to the emergency room. And there I collapsed, and they put me in the ICU, put me on an ECMO machine, and they were completely lost. I mean, it was like summer of 2020. So early on, people were simply lost with COVID. They didn't know, what it does and this and that. So, and with me, it was my heart. It wasn't the lungs. And at that time, they didn't really knew too much about the heart. So they were at a point where they said, you know what, who do you want to call? Who do you want to say goodbye to? And I said, well, I don't understand what you're asking me here. And they said, well, you want to talk to a priest. So I talked to the priest. I didn't get the message. And the priest read me my last rites. And then I got the message that I was probably, at my final station, so to say, and get off that train. And I didn't want to believe that. But, obviously I had to. And this is when you start to ask yourself some very serious and very hard questions, because when you realize that you may not see your kids again, that you may not see your wife again, that you may not see anybody again, and it's over, you trust me, you're right there. And then you become very tiny and very unimportant. And you realize that precious gift called life, that you wasted it most likely, because most people come to that conclusion too late. And so did I. So I all I did is I prayed to get a second chance to make a first impression. And, obviously I got that chance. And then I knew I had to change my life. I knew I had to, the doctors basically told me, if you don't lose your weight, if you don't really change things, you may have a few weeks, to treat this very carefully. So that's what I did. I went on that. And it was a very difficult journey to lose 90 pounds. They didn't tell me lose 90 pounds. They just told me lose some serious weight. Yeah. And I went on that, path, and I kept going and going and going. And I felt better and better and better. And I started to get clarity in my mind, and I saw things clearly, and I found my purpose, and all of a sudden everything starts to align. And you also understand the mistakes you made, right? You go back and you say, ugh, God, that was me.
Yeah. So what was the biggest changes for you?
I think
that's a small human being, like 90 pounds, right? That's a big change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to really change your life. It's not like you just cut the pizza, right? It's not like, hey, Monday pizza night, no more. You really change your life. You become active. You change your diet, and you need to understand that, I said, I want for good. I don't want to go back to this old life. I really changed my life completely. And it's not that bad, once you get through that change of habit. And there are so many books out there, how to change habits, how to, turn things around. And that's what I did. But again, I think I'm also very persistent. My wife always says, with you, it's just black and white. And I said, yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that obviously exercise, eating right, what helped build the habit? Because it's easy to say, I got to do it. It's easy to say you want to change your life, but it's extremely difficult to do it, right? So how did you do that?
This is where the things was the whole vision that I mentioned earlier is I asked myself a very simple question. I said, if I close my eyes and I travel into the future 5 years from now, who do I want to be? So I started to go and do that every night. I began to, it was crazy because I really started to be that person, who I wanted to become, who I wanted to have in my life, who I did not want to have in my life. And there are so many things I started to dream about myself. It's crazy, but that really is what it is. And I started to visualize that, and I looked at my old me and my new me, and it was very easy to understand who I want to be.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. I wrote that down because it reminds me when I was 23 years old, you said the person I want to be in 5 years, what do I want it to look like, right? And then when I was 23, so about 24 years ago, I had heard the question, the person that I want to be 5 years from now, would they be doing what I'm doing right now with my time, right? And so I remember sitting in a cubicle, making all these phone calls, trying to get clients. My buddies were leaving and going to the golf course because we had no clients, right? So we had a ton of free time, but I didn't do it. And so being a golfer, I didn't play for probably 2 or 3 years. It felt like after, maybe a couple scrambles here and there after college. I was just done and working. But that person I wanted to be 5 years from now was making the decision to sit in that cube to phone. So then later, Brett in later life could play more golf and do the things because he built it, right? So same kind of thing, right, for you?
Yeah, 100%. And, people smile when I talk about vision boards and, bring things into your life and see them like they're happening right now. And people go like, that's mumbo jumbo, stop it. And it's not. It is so interesting to see, especially with business owners and entrepreneurs who are so driven by an outcome. They don't start something. And when you ask a business owner, so do you have a plan? Where do you want to go? They say, of course I have a plan where I want to go. Well, what are you talking about? But when it comes to life, they don't. It's just happening. Everything shifts to their business. And then they come home, and I always giggle because I say, here's the guy who runs a 500 people company and he can't run a 3 people household, because the teenage daughters and there is like, she's not listening to me. And I said, well, we've got 500 people listening to you, but your teenage daughter, why is that? We're talking about life work balance.
That's absolutely right. I've got 4 boys, so I don't know that teenage daughter thing, but I hear it's fun.
I have a daughter and 2 boys, so I do know.
So you get it.
I do.
Yeah. So I think also, to the person listening to this, right, hopefully you don't have to have the near-death experience to get it, kind of that knock on our brain here saying, hey, dude, wake up. You got to make some changes or you're going to be gone. Like, what advice would you have for somebody that's not laying in the ICU, but knows there's those little bitty things, right? Those little steps they've got to take to create a new habit. What advice would you give them?
The first advice is more a fact, which is treat life as valuable as it is, because it's the most precious gift you've ever received and you will ever receive. You need to understand, people are like carpe diem, make everything out of this day. And people go like, yeah, whatever. Tomorrow I will call this guy next week. I will visit my mom next month. And no, do it. Understand that there is no tomorrow per se, because if you don't do it today, you may not know what will happen tomorrow. And that's the advice. And you really have to understand that. Again, you said one thing, which is really important. And I've met a lot of people who've been in similar situations, car crash, and everybody says the same thing. They come out of this, and on the other side, you have a complete different perspective. Yeah. And there's a very simple experiment you can do. You can sit in front of a painting, and you take a chair and you move it to the left, and you look at the painting, and then you take that same chair and you move it to the right, and you look at that painting again, and you will see different things because you just changed perspective. And the same way is life. Life in front of you is the same painting. You just have to take up your chair and just move it over. And you move it over. It's your chair. This is your life. Nobody else. You cannot blame anybody else for nothing. Yep. You.
What's that look like for you? How's that process? How's that moving the chair process, looking at the yard, play out in your life?
You see, this is it's an ongoing process. In the beginning, you have to get rid of a lot of shit. Excuse my French.
Yep, let her rip.
And it's a tough moment because you have to be honest to yourself. We all start to bullshit ourselves, right? It's like, yeah, it's not too bad, and this and blah blah blah. No, it's like in golf, right?
Yeah.
The only person you're playing against is like you. Who you kidding, right? I shot an 80. Like, did you? Well, 2 mulligans and
Right,
so on and so
exactly.
per hole. So no, be honest, be truthful, and because who do you try to fool, right? Yourself. It doesn't make sense, and that's really what I did, and that was the most, I would say, challenging moment, is to really push through that.
Yeah.
And there are some very tough realizations that come to the surface.
Yeah. Well, it is tough to be real with yourself sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, but you also have to be at the same time respectful. And again, I stick to golf because you're a golfer, so you understand. But you've probably played with people who talk to themselves in a way that if you would talk to them, they would turn around and punch you in the face.
Yeah.
But why do you talk to yourself sometimes in a way that you would never allow anybody to talk to you?
Yeah.
Even in your mind, if you shut your mouth
laughing
and
as
talk to yourself.
I say that sometimes when I'm even golfing. I'll say it to myself, like, I would never talk to my own self the way I talk to myself on the golf course. Like in real life, like normal life, I don't ever talk to myself or call myself the names I call myself, right? Like, geez Louise.
But that is what it is, right? So that's what people do. And again, no, you really, really have to change that attitude.
Yeah.
And it's, how it is with golf. I always say the most important distance is the one between the left and right ear in golf, right?
Yeah.
So master that distance and you got it all figured out.
Yeah. What, talk about the exercise thing for a while. So that person, again, listen to this, maybe they want to shed a few pounds. It's diet and exercise, right? There's obviously your food choices and then the exercise. What did you find to be able to start doing that you enjoyed, so it didn't feel like you had to go work out, unless maybe you just love it. I don't know, but a lot of people just don't love it, right?
Yeah, I think that's the first thing. I think you have to drop that because then you work against yourself. So you have to find something that you like. Is it golf? Is it cycling? Is it walking? Is it running? But it also depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? You go into a gym and there's 10 people working out and everybody has a different goal. One wants to be, like a supermodel. The next one wants to just run around and play with the kids because, back pain. And the next one wants to play golf. So understand what it is that you really want to achieve. Are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to do this and that? And once you understand that, then you can start to work towards that goal and take steps and, put them in a very realistic manner. Because if you say, I want to lose 90 pounds in 3 months, that's bullshit, right? Yeah. So gradually work there and celebrate the little wins. Don't be too strict. That's another thing. This is where people say, oh, now I had a beer. Now everything has fallen apart. It's not, try and be okay with yourself, pat yourself on the shoulder. Yeah. Be your own buddy,
Yeah.
And so that worked for me. But again, you also have to develop a routine to be disciplined. Alcohol is clearly something that is not good. People go like, oh, I can do this. And no, and be strict. That is a black and white solution for me. No alcohol. Boom. That's the first thing that I stopped. And I'm having a beer now and I drink wine again, because I lost all that weight and my body reacts completely different to it now than it used to be.
Yeah.
And those are the things, no sugar, just try and develop, and you'd be surprised how much salad and how much green food you can have that really fills you up and has very little calories compared to the cheeseburgers, the French fries, and all the crap food.
Yeah. What would I see you eating? How many times would I see you eating today? And then what am I seeing you eat most days?
So what I do is I start with a protein shake in the morning that really replaces my breakfast. And but I've never been a breakfast person. Some people need breakfast, and I say that's great, but and breakfast is super important. So I switched that protein shake for my breakfast, and then I focus on not too late dinner, really, and that's where I have mainly vegetables, salad. I would say call it the healthy food. I love fish. I don't have a lot of carbs and stuff, and when I find alternatives to what I used to eat, is a cauliflower pizza, but some people say, like, ugh, that's so horrible. Sure, but you have to make trades. I mean, you're not gonna try and change nothing and still get to where you want to go. Don't cut corners,
Amen to that. How I put on here, one of the interview topics is how to stop juggling grenades and start leading with clarity. Talk about that.
Yeah. So you asked me earlier, and I think to me that was that aha moment, is when you run around and you realize that you kind of stuck in fog, right? I always say, and I'm about to publish a book as well, so it's called Get Unfogged, and people are like, unfucked, and I say, no, fogged, the fog, F-O-G.
I thought you said,
right? Yeah, playing with words. Anyways, so the clarity part is, I say, and it happens to so many people, and we've experienced it all, but some people are stuck in the fog and they just run around in circles. But when you, as an entrepreneur, you said you just started a business, right? You were building
another one, yeah,
business. Yeah. So in the beginning, a lot of moving parts and a lot of things are not necessarily all clear, right? You test and you put things to work, and this is not working out, and that person you hired, and da 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 da. So a lot of moving parts. But as you progress, things are getting more and more clear. You're making choices, and I always say every choice you make determines the challenges you will face. So if you make good choices, right, then the challenges might, or should be less challenging. So that's where I say, make your choice with clarity. Be clear about what you're doing there. Just, and again, in business, we do that most likely because we look at KPIs and we look at numbers and da, 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 da. But in life, other than losing weight, you look at numbers too, but, or calories and this and that. But I think in life, you also have to have that clarity. And that is, again, the life-work balance, right? And a lot of people do things just because they're doing them, or they take things as granted. And I say, don't, because that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Fogged, F-O-G.
I love it. I love that. What about if somebody said you're getting comfortable, right? Like, do you like that word? Like, comfortable.
Look, I think comfort is, you want to learn, you want to move forward, right? That's what life is all about. It's an ongoing process. The moment you get comfortable, you slow down. You take things as granted, as I said before. This is where I feel comfortable. I go like, no, don't. Never feel comfortable. Yeah. Never take things as granted. Your wife, your loved ones, your family. Treat it as it is. It's a gift.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to look at too. I mean, it's I think going through what you've been through, right? You've seen that what's possible, right? That we don't like that outcome. It's going to happen to all of us, but just want to get to a system in our process, I should say, that where we're trying to be the best version of ourselves every single day. And I think that exercise and all that.
Yeah, and that's really, part of my purpose to me is that I say I want to get out there and really give people that perspective, right? Give their head a shake, so to say. Yeah. Make them realize what's going on. And some people say like, oh gosh, what the heck are you talking about? And they think I have a loose marble, but that's okay. And that's okay. There are others who say, never looked at things that way. Thanks. And that's, who I want to talk to.
Yeah. How do you spend most of your day when you think about your work day? Let's just focus on the work side of things. What would I see, again, if I just kind of was a guy in the corner just watching you work every day? What am I seeing day in and day out?
I mean, I try and balance things as good as I can. I don't have a day per se. I look at things per week. So I have I dedicate days to certain things that I do. So I don't have meetings all over the week, right? This is where I think I need my me time. And if I want to be creative, I dedicate time to myself so I can go out on the golf course, right? I take that. So I this is how I look at things. I look at things more on a weekly basis than on a daily basis. And I give myself these time slots to do things so I can get things done. I have days where I coach. I have days where I be more creative. I have days where I dedicate stuff to myself, and I have, time for my family. I think that is very important, and I'm very strict about that. I'm trying to keep those boundaries very well in place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when you're talking about your calendar in a week, and it's funny because I used to have this thing I called guilt-free golf, and there was Friday afternoons where I would go golfing, but I know I didn't do what I needed to do all week long. So then on the Friday afternoon golfing, I was playing like crap. I was stressed out. I was thinking about work, and it wasn't enjoyable. And what I found is the only way I could go play golf now on Fridays was if I did everything I needed to do up until that point, to where I could go enjoy it without feeling guilty. And that was a game changer for me is, here where we live here in the St. Louis area, I'm really April to October kind of golf, right? So those months, man, I work hard all the time, but especially during that Monday through Thursday when I know there's a chance I could go play golf on Friday afternoon, right? I enjoy that. Have you had anything like that? And obviously I would assume you agree with my thought there of the guilt-free golf, but anything like that in your life?
1,000%, and it goes hand in hand with the guilt-free beer, because I think if we don't have these moments, if we are too black and white, then we don't forgive ourselves. And that's where I say we're humans, right? We make mistakes, and that's totally fine. Maybe you say, this is what I want to get done this week, and you didn't get it done. That's okay. Understand why. Maybe you say, hey, I used to take 5 books when I went on a holiday, and I said, oh, we'll read all those 5 books. I maybe read 1. And then I came back and I said, I carried all these books, I mean, you could say, then buy yourself a Kindle, right? But that's not my point. My point is I set myself a goal. I clearly didn't get close to that goal, and I was very disappointed. But why not just pack 2 books and say, hey, you know what? Read 1, maybe you can do 2, because you've done this now for 10 times, and that's okay. Then you don't feel bad about it. I started to realize that I was my biggest own enemy.
Yeah, I feel that same way. And now I've been saying this for a couple of years now, and people that listen every week on this show probably like, I hear it, and they already know what I'm going to say, but it's that progress over perfection. And
love it.
I had to learn that, right? Because I've set this, and this, and I didn't do it, then I'd feel like shit, and then it's like, all right, you're going to work out 7 times this week. Well, you worked out 2 times, a week for the last month. You're not going to go to 7. And I've had to learn to take those baby goals over the years to get to the part now where you can do something and be active every single day.
Again, it's the journey. It's not the destination.
Yeah.
It's not like losing 90 pounds. It's getting there, staying there, which is part of the journey,
Yeah. Fun question. Greatest golf trip in the world. Where is it at?
Oh, I've been so blessed with a lot of nice golf trips recently.
Or maybe even one you've already been on.
I love the Monterey Peninsula. I mean, I just love it. I went there 2 years ago with my son. Was a gift for my birthday, and but we took it in I think it was May, and it was so cold. It was so. I came from Miami here, Florida, right? I came with my shorts and my polo shirts, and people looked at me like, okay, must be from New York. And I said, no, I'm from Miami. And they're like, oh. So still, I love the Monterey Peninsula. However, I also went to Asia last year, summer, Vietnam, and it is mind blowing what these guys pulled out there. I mean, they're building a golf course every other week, and it is absolutely stunning. I mean, wow. Yeah. The service and everything. I loved it. I mean, I used to work in Vietnam, so I looked at everything from a different angle.
Well, it's funny. I had a buddy that was just there last year, and he was talking about how mind-blowing the golf was, sending us pictures and how high-end it all is, but also it wasn't very expensive.
No.
He's like, I don't know how they're paying for all this.
It was really cool. I mean, if you have time and if you're thinking about where you want to go, I will go there. I definitely, I can highly recommend it. 3 thumbs up.
All right. I like that. How about Bandon Dunes? Have you done Bandon?
No.
Oh, you got to go to Bandon Dunes. That's a rider downer. Put that on your list. I think it's 4 of the 6 courses in the top 50 in America. They're unbelievable. Right. It's right on the coast. It's in Oregon. That's probably my favorite golf trip.
Oh, yes. I heard about it. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's
but golf up there,
it's
supposed to be super. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like one of those places you just get there and then you don't leave the property. You eat there, you golf there, you hang out there. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So, well, Tino, where do our listeners find more of you?
So you can go to Dietrich Institute, and we established a landing page for your audience, which is Circuit of Success in one word. So dietrichinstitute.com/Circuit of Success.
Awesome. We will put that in the show notes, Tino, and thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate all the stuff. I wrote down quite a few notes here, so I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.